It's time to set up for the month of January in my 2026 reading journal. Hey guys, I'm Tracy and I want to welcome you back to my channel. I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. And today we are back in my reading journal. This journal has probably been the most featured new journal and or planner that has been on my channel throughout the month of December and even in November as I started setting up the pages in here. I have about 5 videos featuring this journal where I did some setups of my annual challenge pages, my annual tracking pages, just some fun title pages. So definitely check out that video or those videos if you kind of want to see my thought process, as well as a video showing the entire flip through of the setup. I do have a reading journal playlist and all of those videos are in that particular playlist. Today, we are going to be setting up for the month of January. And the theme for my reading journal is Alice in Wonderland. And I'm going to keep with that theme throughout all of my monthly pages. I should not be very hard because I feel like there are a lot of things within Alice in Wonderland that I can pull inspiration from for those months that I don't want to go too hit it right on the nose as far as the theme goes. I can kind of just pull bits and pieces from it, which I'm going to be kind of doing today, actually. If I'm being completely honest, today's theme is not going to seem super Alice in Wonderland, but I figured for the month of January, because we're ringing in the new year, we're always thinking about clocks and top hats and things like that for the new year. So I decided to kind of do the whole pocket watch theme. I feel like this will be fun. I think I got this image off of Creative Fabrica. So this is going to be the main image on my title page, which is going to be over here. So I am going to tweak my setup a little bit as far as what I did in 2025 versus what I plan to do for 2026. So I'm going to have a one page that's completely decorative, which I did do some months in 2025. And then over here, I'm going to have a TBR. Now, how I'm going to set up that TBR as far as like what it's going to look like, I don't know yet, but I do want to have a TBR here. Then I'm going to have my calendar over here where I track the days that I read and what books I read at those times. So this is pretty much my tracker. So it not only keeps tally of the days, but it also keeps tally of the books. I'm also going to have some charts and like mostly pie graphs is like my charts, as well as probably some type of list of like favorites, least favorites, and things of that nature. I'm debating on whether or not to do 4 pages or 6 pages. So I have kind of already quote unquote set aside 6 pages per month. Basically, I figured I could fit most of my regular monthly stats and monthly TBR and decorating and all that fun stuff on 4 pages, but I wanted to reserve 2 extra pages and, in case I decide to do a TBR for the month. I mean, not TBR, a readathon for the month. However, for the month of January, I'm not going to be doing a readathon, and that's in part because I am doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 challenges this month, or throughout the year, every month throughout the year. And I'm just kind of want to read for those challenges and those challenges only for the month of January. I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. I haven't had the strongest past few reading months, but they haven't been bad. They just haven't been super strong. But yeah, so that's why I was like, I'm just going to read. I'm just going to read for these challenges and not do an actual readathon. So I need to figure that out because that's also going to play a role in what I do on these 2 pages in particular, which again are more of my tracking and my stats pages. But I guess because those are the last 2 pages that I'm going to be setting up, we can go ahead and start. So there's a few tools here. Like I said, I got this from Creative Fabrica. I think I also got this from Creative Fabrica. This I had out for a while because I wanted to originally do a clocks theme for my title page or my ratings page, but I ended up not doing that. I have some ephemera. I have this, which is a stencil. So I'm really thinking about doing this. I have to think about this one a little bit because this could be very interesting considering that I do a lot of like writing, but this could actually be really cool now that I think about it on my page that I do the calendar because I use dot markers and that's it. That's the only coloring I do. So I have that. I also have this colored paper because I figured now that we're doing blues, maybe I can pull some of this in. I also have this Alice and Wonderland book that I think is from Temu. There are a few pocket watches in here that I could pull in if I want some extra ones. So yeah, there's only a few in here, but you know, I want to remember that I have this. And then of course I pulled these two color inks and then I pulled some washi because we got to use some washi. So y'all, when I checked the runtime at the end of this video, it was 1 hour and 40 minutes. So yes, we do have to speed up the entire decorating process just so y'all will not be mad at me because I know no one wants to sit here for almost 2 hours and watch me decorate these spreads. So yes, I will say when I come to decorate, especially any type of journaling spread, I usually just have a theme in mind. Other than that, there really hasn't been much pre-planning. So like in this case, I knew I wanted to do the clock theme, so I grabbed a few images. Like I said, this one sheet that I'm using for the cover page, I got it from Creative Fabrica, and I actually changed the color palette in Canva. So I uploaded the image into Canva. I have a Canva Pro membership, and I was able to edit the image and kind of change the color palette a little bit to add the blues, which I really, really like. So yeah, everything was centered around these clocks. And then I had just a few other images to use for this spread. So yeah, I was kind of winging it in a way. So for the title page, I think I am going to do a highly decorative title page each month, especially as some of the other pages get more and more functional. If there's a readathon or anything like that, then there has to be more things added to the page as far as functionality, like prompts and things like that. So I really want to make a super decorative title page. So in this case, I pretty much used a large portion of the image, put it on the title page, and then slapped down the chapter 1 January right there and then called it a day. So it's very minimal effort, but to me it's very decorated. So I like how it turned out. Now let's talk about this TBR page. So if you can't tell, which you might not be able to because all you see is some horizontal lines, but I decided being I was actually going to be dedicating an entire page to a TBR, let's do bookshelves. So I decided that I wanted to put all of the books that I was going to read or plan to read as part of my year-long reading challenges on one shelf. And then I was going to do a second shelf and put all of the other books that I want to read that are not part of the reading challenge. So there are 3 books that are going to be a part of the 5 reading challenge or the 5 main reading challenges. Right now, I'm not counting the bingo, the Romantasy bingo, because I'm sure these also fit into that as well. So I'm not technically counting that as part of the TBR, even though I'm pretty sure I will get at least one prompt fulfilled on that bingo card with these reads. So what I did is I wrote the title of the book fairly large, and then we can say that I wrote that horizontally along the spine. And then vertically, what I did is I wrote the challenge that that book is going to be used for. So really quick, I'll tell you the prompts and then the books that I chose just in case that interests you. So for the Buzzword Reading Challenge, the prompt is the word before or after in the title. So I had no clue where to go with this one. So I turned to the Storygraph app. On the Storygraph app, you can actually look for the Buzzword Challenge, and people have given suggestions for each of the prompts. And the one suggestion that really intrigued me was before you knew my name. And the reason why it intrigued me is it's like just a little over 300 pages. That was one of the reasons. Plus, it seemed like it had a pretty interesting concept. It's kind of like a suspense, I think, thriller, mystery type thing. And yeah, so that one only fits that one prompt. So the next book which is going to potentially fulfill 2 prompts and could probably also fill one of the Romantasy bingo prompts, is going to be Riftborn. That can fit the Adventures in Aldea. So the Adventures in Aldea this year, we are using the same game board that was created last year. And basically you just choose a different path. So everybody's first prompt was the same, which is a book published in 2024, and Riftborn was published in 2024. And then for the Year of Goober Challenge, it is first book in a series. I will say a couple of these do fit that one, but I'm just throwing Riftborn because I didn't want to use one book for 3 prompts. So there we go. And then this third book is a book I had never heard of before I started figuring out what I wanted to read this month. It's called Daggermouth. The synopsis was really, really interesting. At the moment, I have absolutely no idea what that synopsis was, but I promise you it was interesting. At least it was to me. This also fits 2 prompts. So the first prompt is part of the Buzzword Cover Challenge, and basically it has to be some part of the inside of the body. I can't remember what the actual prompt signified. Let's see, let me flip through really quick. Internal part of the body. So yeah, I said it about right. And the cover of this book has an anatomical heart on top. So there we go. On the cover. And this also fits my Bookopoly, which when I rolled a 6, and that was a 1-word title. Now let's chat about some other books that I want to read, and it is going to be basically books that are next in line in current series. That's really what I want to focus on for my other reads, and it is Dawn of Chaos and Fury, Empire of Storms, Crown of Wrath and Ruin, and A Fate So Dark and Delicate. Now, a lot of those books have a lot of pages, so we'll see how many I could read, but I think it's going to be a fun reading month. Okay, so now let's talk about these 2 pages. Now, like I said, I was very limited on the number of clocks, pocket watches, white rabbits, what have you, that I actually had to utilize to decorate this. I probably could have taken a break and printed off some more images, but I didn't. And, I'm okay with that because I had to think a little bit more about what to do. And like I said, I promise you the end product looks pretty darn cool. So I decided to use this stencil. This stencil is so huge. I did not realize it was this big when I ordered it. I did get it from Temu. I thought it was smaller. I didn't look at the dimensions, but I mainly wanted to focus on the clock. This is kind of like steampunk type, but I do like some of the gears and stuff, so I do include some of that in the design as well. And because these 2 pages are just going to be like me handwriting stuff over it, I kind of was able to use a lot more of the stencil over the page. So the stencil can be where I'm actually going to be putting the calendar, because I'm just going to be putting dot markers on the calendar to indicate the days that I read, which is perfectly fine. Ink and everything like that also writes on top of the stamped ink pretty well too. You will see on the next page, I will do some like pie charts. I would just draw circles so I can do pie charts at the end of the month. I did not put stencils in that because I'm going to be coloring that in, but everywhere else was fair game when it comes to stencils. And I kind of liked how this looked. So now I've chatted about the decorations. Now I'll talk about the functionality. So you can see me drawing my calendar in. I just did 4x4 as far as the squares. I don't need a lot of space. There's probably going to be maybe 2 dots max in each little box, unless I like soft DNF'd or just flat out DNF a book, then there might be more than 2 dots in there. I don't think I've ever actually had more than 2, but who knows? There's a first time for everything. And by the way, when I say soft DNF, that means I'm not in a mood to read it now, but I'll probably pick it up at some point in the future versus a flat out DNF, which means I am not going to be picking that book up again because it is not my thing. So, and then I'm going to write all of the books down in that long box that I put at the bottom of that page. That's where I'm going to put the box, and I'm going to put a dot beside it so that way you can see which dot corresponds to which book. All right, so when I was kind of trying to figure out what tables and charts I needed for the page, I realized that I had printed off some stuff a long time ago, like right when I started actually setting up this journal. And I'm so glad I remembered it because there were headers that had challenge TBR and other TBR. I think there's also mood reads. So that was like very, very helpful because it's just really cool to now I'm able to indicate with this header which bookshelf is for my challenges and which bookshelf is just for my other stuff. So yeah, that worked out pretty well. I was really glad that I remembered that. And I'm really glad I created that, by the way. Who would have thought? All right, so even though I'm still putting on the little headers and stuff like that here, I'm going to talk about the charts and everything on my stats page. So the pie charts, I did not want to pre-label those. And I never pre-labeled them last year either. And the reason why I don't want to pre-label them is because if, I read all fantasy books, then I'm not going to do a pie chart for genre because everything is going to be the same genre. It's just going to be 100%. I'll just handwrite that in the box or something like that. The same is true basically for anything. If I only read ebooks, then I'm not going to do a pie chart for that. So I don't like to pre-label in advance because what I want to use the pie charts for are things where there's some variation. So you can kind of see the differences there. The bigger box that is on that second page, that is going to be for things such as total books completed, pages read, hours listened, average day to complete the book, that is captured in Storygraph, total days read, that's going to be captured by my calendar, DNF, soft DNF, because again, I want to capture them differently, and then to be continued. And that is something I like to capture because, if you finish a book on the 29th, you're not going to wait until the 1st, or you might, but you might not always wait till the 1st to start another book. So I want to capture if I start a book on the 29th, but I'm only like 20% done by the time the 1st of the month rolls around, then that's a to be continued book. So I'm not counting it in any of my stats, but I just kind of want to put it somewhere that I actually started reading a book that I couldn't count type thing. And most of those stats are also going to be captured on my monthly summaries chart where I can compare all of the months together. And then at the very bottom, I know we're on a different page, but then at the very bottom, I'm capturing stats about how many books were parts of a series, a duology, or standalone. Okay, this final 2 pages, because yes, like I said, I decided on the 6-page spread, and y'all, I'm really thinking I need the room. So what am I going to do? I guess if I have a readathon, I will squeeze everything into 5 pages and give 1 page to a readathon. That's what I'm thinking. So I got this idea for like favorite, least favorite, honorable mention, most anticipated, and things like that. It was just with Joshi Corinne, when she shares one of her friends' reading journals, this is how I think it's Monica. When she does her reading journal, she does a page like this, and I absolutely love it. I did add a few things that I don't think she captures, which is the quickest read and the slowest read, because some books, it could be 500 and some pages, and I can read it in 2 days because I am just like, I just can't put it down. And then some books can be 300 pages, and it takes me like 2 weeks, and I want to capture that. So I do want to put that in there. And then the page that is on the opposite side of the favorites and least favorites, that one is blank, and I can pretty much add whatever my little heart desires at the end of the month, because who knows, maybe I want to add quotes. Maybe I want to talk about my favorite character. Maybe I want to talk about a character that annoyed me. Maybe I just want to do a collage of some book-inspired imagery. I have no clue. But I can't just do 5 pages. I had to do 6 pages so that way February can start with another 2-page spread. So that was a thought process there, guys. All right, so pretty much now I'm just going to be decorating. I am going to be filling in the white space. That is what I'm going to be doing. You will see that because, again, my lack of stickers, ephemera, and stuff like that regarding clocks and pocket watches and stuff like that really caused me to have to go ahead and just put the stencil everywhere. And I thought putting the stencils on both the first 2 pages and the last 2 pages also helped tie everything in together, you know, just in case I needed to tie everything in more than just having random pocket watches everywhere. But yeah, I think it looks cool. I think it's going to look even better once this is actually filled in with book covers and pen, and I color in the books on my bookshelf. I think it's going to look really, really cool, and I'm really excited to see how this is going to turn out at the end of January. And hopefully, which I'm not 100% sure that I'll have everything filled in by the time I film February's setup, because that might be done before the end of January. I do plan on doing quarterly flip throughs, or either halfway through the year flip throughs, to kind of show you guys what everything's looking like. So you will see the final product after the pen at some point in the future. All right, guys, my desk is an absolute mess. Yeah, this was definitely a crafting hour, but I really liked how this turned out. So I'm going to color these in once I read the book. Obviously, I'll probably color them in maybe shades of blue and like browns and stuff like that. I really like this. I'm so glad I remembered that I had this, because this fits perfectly on the shelf. I didn't even know that when I drew the shelves. And I'm really glad I remembered about these little headers that I created, because they also fit on the washi perfectly. So I really like how this looks. This is a lot more bare, but it's going to get filled up with text. So these are going to be my pie charts, and then underneath of them or beside them is where I'm going to have the actual key. This is going to be my ratings pie chart. That's why I put that here. This is going to be the other numerical stats I need to keep track of. And then those are my stats for how many series I read, duologies and standalones. And then this is, so it's January stats and recaps. Now that I'm doing this, I'm like, oh my gosh, do I need to, like, the months I do a readathon, maybe just do a readathon on one page? Because it seems like this is working pretty well. It really does. So yeah, I'm going to put book covers here, and I'm going to do the 1.5 height for the book covers, because that seemed to work pretty well. And yeah, I'm happy with how this turned out. This was a lot of fun. I really needed this kind of crafting time. So that's why I was doing like more like scrapbooky, tearing pages, using a lot of stencils, because I just wanted to be creative, and I figured let's just work on my reading journal while I want to be creative. So there we go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please press that like button. And if you have yet to subscribe, I hope you would also consider subscribing to my channel. That's all I have for now. I hope you have a good rest of your day, evening, or night. Until next time, bye.